Story of X, Chapter 2. Days and weeks and months had passed since Allie X and her shadow spun around too fast and were violently separated. For Shadow, the flesh world had become a place of great loneliness and confusion. She was trying to pretend to be a whole person, but it wasn't easy. Her health was diminishing rapidly. Her parents were watching in horror as their once cheerful daughter seemed to be fading away to nothing. They took her to see many, many doctors, all of whom were baffled by her seemingly unexplainable symptoms. Why was she losing so much weight? Why had she become so quiet and dark? Why was a mysterious letter X forming just below the surface of the skin atop her heart? At a loss and in a desperate need to fatten her up, the doctors resorted to pumping her full of extra fatty mayonnaise and force-feeding her pizza subs, but nothing worked. Shadow continued to grow more and more bizarre to everyone around her, and more reclusive. Desperate for an answer, her parents took her to a head doctor. If the trouble can't be found in her withering away body, perhaps it can be found inside her head, they said. After weeks of invasive tests, the doctor concluded that Shadow simply could not be helped. She was nothing more than a misfit, and there is only one place for people like her: the Institution for Misfits. Stranded in Shadowland, Allie X was haunted by the memory of when she and her shadow self spun around too fast and were flung apart. How could spinning, something we both loved doing, cause us to be ripped apart from each other, she wondered. To fill what felt like an eternity of endlessness, Allie X spent her days and nights alone in her cave practicing the X chord until her fingers bled. She was completely fixated on what the Wizard of X had told her.
You must learn to play the X chord. You must write songs until one day you write the song that will solve X and reunite you with your shadow.
In moments of exhaustion, Allie X would wander to her mirror or peer into the reflection in her bathwater in hopes of seeing Shadow again. But she never came. Shadow arrived at the Institution for Misfits. The moment she walked through the doors, a crazy-eyed nurse handed her 2 pills and a thimble-sized glass of water. "What's this?" Shadow asked. "Misfits are not permitted to ask questions," the nurse screeched. Shadow took the pills and the nurse continued on her rounds. Once she was out of sight, Shadow spit the pills back into her hand. She examined them closely and she could make out one word written on each. Swelnazone. Into the garbage they went. Though she was frightened to be there, she was hopeful that she may find others like her. As she walked the cavernous hallways, she quickly realized that her misfitness was very different. She was dark and quiet and flat, where the other girls were chipper, their curvy bodies nearly bustling out of their clothes. The Roundies, she nicknamed them quietly to herself. Maybe those pills made them that way, she thought. As they passed by Shadow, their rotund figures steamrolled her into a row of lockers, flattening her out even more. As she peeled her deflated self off the lockers, one thing was crystal clear. She missed Allie X desperately. Late one afternoon, as the black sun began to set in Shadowland, a strange man with an enormous nose wandered into her cave. Allie X was taken aback, not only by his gargantuan snout, but by the fact that he was made of the darkest, densest shadow imaginable, the blackest black she'd ever seen. "Who are you and why are you in my cave?" she demanded of him.
My name is Big Nose, and I could smell your sadness. A smell I knew all too well.
Big Nose went on to explain that he too was once a whole person in the flesh world. He had tried for years to fight against the darkness of Shadowland, searching day and night for a way back to his shadow self, but finally surrendered to the darkness.
There is no way out. No light at the end of the tunnel.